To the EB. I'm having mascara left. Did you enjoy that? Isn't that sensational? Part of my journey in finding my own voice and becoming a public speaker and storytelling coach was the vision of creating a safe, heart-filled space where people can come together and experience the joy of live storytelling. And I'm just so delighted that that vision has come to life. With the Stories from the Heart live storytelling events, not only do we have that safe space where we can share stories, but we're also raising money for charity. The ticket sales for tonight's event are going to Kiva. Kiva is an international not-for-profit organisation that aims to end world poverty by providing microloans to disadvantaged people in third world countries so that they can start their own businesses. For our last event, we raised over $500 for a group of Cambodian women to purchase some farming equipment. So I thank you all for coming out tonight and being part of this event and generously buying a ticket so that we can help the community overseas with the business project. We now have our second speaker, who is J. Crisp Crow. Jay is a writer, squeezing joy out of life in the Perth Hills with her scrumptious husband and a tribe of children. She fell in love with words at the tender age of 2 whilst reading golden books. Now an award-winning copywriter and editor, Jay used to sing on the back of monster trucks after becoming too plump to continue as a cheerleader. Jay is going to tell us a story titled, You Are Not Your Story. Please welcome J. Crisp Crow.
Like all good stories, mine has a prologue. There's a teenage girl and she falls in love with a young man, and they're young and they're silly, and his family thinks that it'll never last. But at 19, they're married and she has a speck of a baby in her belly. And at 21, she finishes a 4-year degree in 2 years so that she can travel across the country and live with the man who she's married, who's taken a job where he didn't tell her that he'd actually applied for it. This is where you cue the doom music. Because at 26, he leaves her for the secretary that he's been having an affair with. Now, from that time until today, my mother never dated another man. She never fell in love again, and she focused all of her life's energy into raising her one child, no pressure, and teaching me lessons through stories. So, because she never fell in love again, her lessons went from be independent, have a career, make some money before you settle down, travel the world before you have children, and make sure that you're set up before you settle. Don't settle down, never settle. A woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle, and for God's sake, haven't I taught you anything? So it was surprising to me that at 27, I found myself with all of those stories running around in my head with not 1 but 2 children, suddenly as a single mother with no damn job. And my husband didn't leave me for the secretary. He's classier than that. He said to me, don't take this personally. Here's some more doom music. It's not you, it's me. It's not that I don't love you. It's just that I don't love you enough to stay married. Because here's the thing, I don't think I'm a family man. And he waited until we had the second baby that we tried for 2 years to let me know that. So I was left with a 3-year-old and a newborn. And I had all of these stories rush around in my head. And I was really seriously worried that I'd fallen down exactly the same rabbit hole as my mother. And this is when I realised that I'm not my story. And I think I realised that on the day that I bought my very first house without my ex-husband, it happened to be the one that we looked at 7 years prior that we couldn't afford. On the day that it settled, I had 20 cents left in my bank account. But I had 2 happy children and a really nice new community. I realised it again the night that I walked up to my new husband, and I knew that the 6-year wait for him was over. And then I realised it again on the day that we were travelling with the kids in the back of the car and we were talking about the new baby we were about to have, and they negotiated this ridiculous but memorable new surname for us all so that we all had a matching name. So Stories are really important in my family. I use them every single day to teach children something. I use them every single day in my business to help businesses grow relationships with each other. But here is my story warning. Don't get caught in your own tale, because stories are important. They connect us. We find each other in our stories, but they don't define us. My mum was a single mum and I was a single mum. So what? I spent the majority of my teenage years trying not to turn out exactly like my mother, and it took me until 38 to realise that if I was half as nice as her, I'm doing a pretty fine job. So this is my lesson. You are not your story. I am not my story. And although stories are really important, the bit that you're experiencing right now, that's just a chapter. It's one tiny part of the story, and the end isn't written yet. So make sure that your stories are not a big ocean that you're drowning in, or some big ball and chain that you fasten around your neck and drag around behind you, using it as excuses for not doing things. Make them a big step to propel you upwards, or a hot air balloon, or take your stories and fashion them into wings so that you can fly into the next chapter. Because I promise you, if you harness the courage from your stories and turn the page, the best, most juicy part of your story hasn't even been written yet. Thank you.
Wasn't she wonderful? Jane is a fabulous writer, and I think it's just so fabulous to see her words come off the page and onto the stage. Well done. That was really good. Now, I talk to people all the time about stories, and a lot of people say to me, I don't have any stories to share. They say, I'd like to share a story, but my life's